Love the Ravens as much as we do? Then smash that subscribe button and stay locked in with Flock News for all the drama, updates, and excitement all season long. The whispers began to spread quietly, almost like smoke curling out from a small fire, and soon everyone following the NFL rumor mill started to lean in closer. DeAndre Hopkins, the star receiver who just seemed to have settled in with the Ravens, is suddenly at the center of conversations about departures, trades, and unexpected moves. Baltimore fans had been warming up to the idea that Hopkins could become the reliable target Lamar Jackson had been asking for, the missing piece that could finally unlock an even more explosive offense. But football never stays still. The chatter now is that Hopkins is ready to exchange the purple and black colors of Baltimore for something entirely different. That simple phrase, "Goodbye, Baltimore," has been floating around social media, on talk shows, and in insider tweets, and it has fans either panicking or denying it outright. Some say it's just noise, a way for his camp to test the waters and maybe squeeze out a new deal, while others believe there's genuine truth in the air, that Hopkins has already emotionally checked out. This is not just another small rumor. This is the kind of speculation that shakes entire fan bases and divides locker rooms. Hopkins' name has always been tied to drama, not in a negative sense, but in the way that big stars inevitably attract big headlines. From his days in Houston, where he built his reputation as one of the most reliable receivers in the game, to his stint in Arizona, where flashes of brilliance often clashed with an organization in flux, Hopkins has always been at the center of attention. Baltimore was supposed to be different, though. When he put on the Ravens jersey, the narrative was about stability, about finding a place where Lamar Jackson could lean on his skills and build a connection that would scare defenses across the league. The purple uniform was meant to symbolize a new chapter, one filled with purpose and long-term potential. But behind the scenes, sources suggest the fit hasn't been as smooth as fans were led to believe. Chemistry takes time, personalities can clash, and expectations weigh heavily when you're an elite receiver in a city desperate for championships. This backdrop creates the perfect stage for whispers of discontent, and those whispers now sound like thunder. Baltimore is a city that loves its football culture with unmatched passion, and Ravens fans take pride in the grit and loyalty their team represents. That's why the possibility of Hopkins leaving feels almost personal, as if an unspoken promise is being broken. Supporters wanted him to be more than a highlight reel. They wanted him to be a symbol of a new era for the franchise, someone who could anchor the offense alongside Jackson for years. Now, the atmosphere feels tense, with fans clinging to every insider post, every vague emoji, every cryptic tweet. It's a reminder of how modern sports narratives are shaped not only by official press releases, but also by subtle hints on social media. A like here, an unfollow there, and suddenly entire fan bases spiral into theories. Right now, those theories converge on one thought. Hopkins is ready to walk away. Whether that means a trade, a release, or a shocking announcement, the writing on the wall has fans feeling uneasy. If true, this departure would sting even more because Baltimore barely had the chance to fully embrace him. What makes the rumor even more fascinating is the lack of clarity about Hopkins' next destination. The phrase "another city" is vague enough to drive speculation into overdrive, with fans and analysts throwing out potential landing spots left and right. Could he head back to a contender desperate for receiving talent? Maybe a team with a proven quarterback chasing one more shot at a title? Could it be a franchise rebuilding and in need of a star to market around, even if wins aren't guaranteed right away? The uncertainty fuels the drama. Hopkins has always had leverage because of his talent, and in a league where game-changing receivers are rare, any hint that he might be available sends general managers scrambling to crunch numbers and imagine possibilities. Baltimore's front office, meanwhile, has to play the balancing act of addressing the noise while not giving away too much. Silence, of course, only feeds speculation, and every moment they stay quiet, the rumor mill grows louder. Fans know how this works. When the smoke doesn't clear, it usually means the fire is real. Adding fuel to the fire, Hopkins himself hasn't gone out of his way to shut down the rumors. Instead, he's been active in ways that invite interpretation, posting vague captions, showing off workouts without Ravens gear, and appearing at events where his ties to Baltimore are barely mentioned. That silence can be strategic. Players at his level know how much power comes with leaving things open-ended. Maybe he wants leverage for contract renegotiations. Maybe he wants to stir interest from other teams. Or maybe he's simply tired of the current situation. Whatever the reason, fans are left to decode his actions like detectives parsing hidden clues. And make no mistake, this is the new reality of sports media. The player's Instagram account is just as important as an official press release. Hopkins knows this, and whether intentional or not, he's controlling the narrative by saying less and letting speculation do the heavy lifting. The longer this continues, the harder it becomes for the Ravens to maintain control of the message. They need clarity, but clarity isn't coming. In moments like these, you realize how fragile the bond between player, team, and city can be. Baltimore wanted to believe Hopkins was part of its future, a key piece in an offense built around Lamar Jackson's dual-threat brilliance. Instead, it now feels like this chapter could be closing before it truly began. For the Ravens, this raises deeper questions about their ability to surround Jackson with consistent talent, to show him the franchise is committed to maximizing his prime. For Hopkins, it's another turn in a career defined by highs and lows, by incredible catches and unexpected moves. Fans everywhere are bracing themselves, because if this rumor gains traction and proves true, it won't just reshape Baltimore's immediate future, it could also tilt the balance of power across the league. Hopkins is that impactful. His next destination, whatever it may be, will immediately become one of the most talked about storylines of the season. And until the truth comes out, all we have are the whispers, the speculation, and the undeniable tension that comes when a star might just be ready to say goodbye. The potential departure of DeAndre Hopkins is not just about one player switching jerseys. It's about the ripple effect that follows when a superstar makes a move, especially one as polarizing as this. The Ravens brought him in with the hope that his experience, his hands, and his ability to make contested catches would transform their passing game into something feared. Without him, that vision changes completely. Suddenly, Baltimore's offense looks more limited, with Lamar Jackson once again carrying the weight of improvisation on his shoulders. Fans are frustrated because they've seen this story before. The team struggles to keep top-tier receivers happy, and the cycle repeats itself. If Hopkins leaves, it raises uncomfortable questions about Baltimore's front office. Did they do enough to keep him invested? Was the system a bad fit, or did personality clashes get in the way? These questions matter, because perception matters in the NFL. Other stars watch how organizations treat their marquee players. If this breakup happens, Baltimore risks gaining a reputation as a place where top receivers go but never stay for long, a storyline no team wants hovering over their brand when they're trying to attract future talent. Speculation about where Hopkins might go next is turning into a game of musical chairs across the league. Some insiders suggest a reunion with familiar quarterbacks who know his style, while others lean toward contenders desperate for that final push. Imagine Hopkins catching passes from a quarterback with a Hall of Fame trajectory, someone who can maximize his talents without requiring him to carry the entire offense. The thought alone has fans buzzing in cities like Kansas City, Buffalo, and Dallas. Each of those franchises could use a dependable target to shift defensive coverages and open up their game plans. Then there's the possibility of a surprise destination, a city not yet in the spotlight, but lurking with cap space and ambition. Hopkins is the kind of player who doesn't just join a roster. He reshapes expectations. A team that acquires him immediately feels more dangerous, more relevant, more talked about. That's why his rumored exit from Baltimore is not just Ravens news, it's league-wide news. Wherever he lands, he will instantly be a headline. And in today's NFL, headlines translate into ticket sales, jersey sales, and primetime games. Meanwhile, the Ravens are caught in a delicate dance. Publicly, they cannot acknowledge the rumor without giving it more legitimacy, but privately, they must be preparing for every possible scenario. Losing Hopkins would not only hurt on the field, but also in the locker room, where his presence was expected to set a standard for younger receivers. Without him, the burden on Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers, and others grows heavier. Baltimore's coaching staff faces the challenge of keeping morale high while uncertainty lingers. It's easy to imagine the awkward conversations happening behind closed doors, teammates wondering if they should prepare for life without him, coaches reminding everyone to stay focused, executives running through potential trade packages. This is the side of professional sports fans rarely see in detail: the anxiety, the planning, the uncertainty. The Ravens wanted to project stability, but stability is hard to sell when the centerpiece of your passing attack might be packing his bags. The timing makes it even worse, as this is supposed to be the window where Lamar Jackson finally proves he can lead Baltimore deep into the playoffs. A Hopkins departure could derail that entire plan. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Hopkins himself knows the weight his decision carries, which is why his silence feels so loud. Every move he makes on social media is dissected. Every sideline expression becomes a clue. He's savvy enough to understand that he controls the narrative right now. For a player in his position, there's power in keeping the world guessing. That uncertainty gives him leverage not only with Baltimore, but with any franchise considering making a move. Still, the longer this drags on, the more strained the relationship becomes with Ravens fans who feel abandoned. They wanted to believe Hopkins was fully invested, someone who would give his all for Baltimore's championship dreams. Instead, they're left decoding cryptic behavior. It's an uncomfortable place for any fan base to be, and it creates tension that can carry over into the locker room. Players aren't immune to the noise. They hear it, they see it, and they wonder what's real. If Hopkins does walk away, his silence will be remembered as the calm before the storm, the period where he held all the cards and let the entire football world hang on his every move. As the rumor spreads, the national media has started to frame it as one of the defining stories of the offseason. Sports talk shows dedicate segments to debating where Hopkins should go, analysts rank potential destinations, and former players chime in with their takes. The narrative takes on a life of its own, creating pressure on everyone involved. For Baltimore, that spotlight is uncomfortable because it highlights their struggles to maintain a consistent receiving core. For Hopkins, it's a reminder that he remains one of the most influential players in the game, capable of commanding attention even without stepping onto the field. Fans across the country are split between rooting for him to land with their favorite team and hoping the Ravens somehow convince him to stay. It's this kind of uncertainty that fuels the NFL's popularity, turning every rumor into a storyline worth following. If Hopkins does leave, this will be remembered as the moment the league shifted slightly, the moment when one player's decision sent waves across multiple franchises. The story is no longer about Baltimore alone. It's about what happens when a superstar decides it's time for a new chapter. And so we wait. The rumor continues to swirl, the theories continue to multiply, and the truth remains just out of reach. Hopkins has not said goodbye officially, but the feeling around the league is that his time in Baltimore is nearing its end. Whether it happens through a trade, a release, or some other dramatic announcement, the writing on the wall is becoming harder to ignore. Baltimore fans cling to hope, but hope can only last so long when the signs point elsewhere. Hopkins will eventually make his move, and when he does, the NFL world will stop to watch. The next city he chooses will instantly become the center of the conversation, and Baltimore will be left to pick up the pieces of what could have been. This is the drama of professional football, not just the games on Sunday, but the stories that unfold when stars make choices that reshape the league. Hopkins leaving Baltimore is still technically a rumor, but it feels like a storm that's already on the horizon, a storm that will change the landscape the moment it arrives. Until then, every whisper, every clue, every headline keeps us all locked in suspense. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.